In 2014, the NBA All-Star Game was hosted in one of the best cities in the world, New Orleans, and Nike came up with a NOLA Gumbo League collection by the culture of New Orleans. And that collection featured the LeBron 11, the Kobe 9 Elite, and there was this shoe that's coming back for the first time ever, Nike 86 Illusion. And the shoe was dropping on February 27th for $145. The KD6, according to the man himself, is actually his favorite shoe out of all 18 that have been released. And I remember back in the day when this shoe first came out, this was pretty popular. Like, people were wearing these on and off court. If you go to a gym, chances are you probably see someone with the KD6. The designer of the shoe is Leo Chang. He has designed a bunch of Kevin Durant shoes, so you get this kind of elongated silhouette. And first impressions of the KD6 All-Star. KD6, to be honest, for me, probably isn't one of my favorites, just in terms of how it looks. I like the 3s and the 4s better. I don't really love many of his signature shoes, but 3s and 4s are outstanding in my head, like the shape of it. This is pretty nice, but it's not one of my favorites. In terms of the colors used on the shoe, I think this kind of abstract illustrative artwork on the upper itself actually works pretty nicely. So yeah, I do like the colorway. Starting with the box, actually nothing too special, just a black KD box. Back in 2014, the box was better and different and more special. In 2026, they have stopped giving a flying inside, just regular white paper. And in terms of the materials on the shoe, you will get a double thin layer of Hyperfuse as well as Flywire. So you can see what I added Flywire for added support. Fuse is supposed to be more breathable while offering enough support. So by this time, Nike basketball and most basketball shoes would go away from using like genuine leather or genuine materials, because those usually add more weight. So this shoe, as soon as you pick it up in hand, you can definitely feel just how absolutely light it is. And of course, this artwork here is the main type of thing that pops out on this shoe. That supposedly the design itself was hand-drawn, and that was supposed to symbolize Kevin Durant's fluidity on the court. And then on the heel of the shoe, you will get Kevin Durant's signature logo, and around to the booty of the shoe, you will see where the pattern changes. That's actually in like a thunder type of shape. Obviously, Kevin Durant did start his career with the Oklahoma City Thunder. You get another swoosh near the heel here, and then moving up the tongue, you will get some ventilation there through that mesh. Going up to the very top, you will see that actually has the number 35. That again was Kevin Durant's number back in his Thunder days. And the tongue itself is super thin, like thinner than a Victoria's Secret model. It is just so flimsy. And the most distinct thing about this tongue itself, of course you can see it, it is asymmetrical. So it kind of flares off to one side for each shoe. And that was a design choice made for a better fit. You can slide your foot in more easily. It kind of conforms to the way your ankle goes. To me, honestly, practically, functionally, doesn't really make too much difference. And I'll get more to sizing and fit later on. And in terms of the laces, it does come with black laces out of the box. It also does come with an extra set of laces with this kind of silver gray stripes throughout. Out of the two, they're very similar. Don't really care which one we go with. Probably just black laces. One thing that I have to complain about for this shoe, perhaps the worst design choice in recent memory, or recent shoes that I've reviewed. This absolutely pissed me off to no end, but the eyelets. See these freaking flimsy loops? It is so hard to get your laces through them. It is very unique, I'll give you that, but it is absolutely just a pain in the ass to change out your laces here. It also doesn't feel very durable. Some people, when they first got the shoe, did have problems with that, where this thing would break, and good luck getting your laces through. But yeah, just one of the most flawed design choices here. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. And if you're wondering, these mint green type of hints on the shoe, is it glow in the dark? It is. And in terms of the cushioning of the KD6, it does just come with a Phylon midsole with a Maxia unit in the heel, so you can see that visible, of course, as well as a Zoomia unit on the forefoot. Now the Phylon, it is relatively like stiff. It is not as plush and as perhaps soft as some more recent modern day kind of cushioning like Cushlon 3.0. This, you definitely feel the age of it. is a little outdated, and the maxi here, I will say, it does feel a little too firm. Just doesn't have too much give when you're playing ball. So if you are on your heels a lot and you explode off your heels, if you're that type of player, just might not feel great, especially if you're not like young and your body can withstand that type of force going back up. So recently, actually, I was wearing the 2K4s, the recent one that actually just released. They haven't pro-troed that, so the tech specs are from all the way back in the 2000s. Just a Phylon midsole, relatively stiff, relatively firm, and I mentioned that in my review. Recently, I was playing ball in those, pushed off, and because it was so stiff, and I already have like a bad back, bad knees, just the force of it just shot right to my back, and now I have a bulging disc. So just keep that in mind. It is just a little too stiff for 2026. For me, responsiveness with the Zoom Air is decent, nothing too outstanding. But yeah, when you put these on, because they haven't pro-troed the KD line yet, you feel the age of it. And you'll see at the tip of the toe, Seat Pleasant's finest. Seat Pleasant is a place in Maryland. That is where Kevin Durant is from. And in terms of the traction, you will see these hexagons. That is meant to represent the KD6. So the number 6. You also see like a subtle thunder pattern over here. Traction-wise, if you're in a pretty well-maintained gym, this will do good. I don't think it's anything outstanding. So usually I don't love traction that's like relatively flat, so the grooves aren't like very deep. And I also don't like traction where there's extended areas where it's flat. So like usually with herringbone, you can imagine that pattern. There's no real kind of large surface areas where there's nothing. This, because of the pattern here, like the middle of the star shape here, there's a bit more flat surface there and there's a lot of it. So just adding it up, I don't love it. So in a not well-maintained gym with some dust, probably do have to find yourself wiping your shoes quite a bit. Outdoor play, I think the rubber is actually relatively thick, so you could probably wear these outdoors as well. Back in the day, this was a pretty budget-friendly shoe, so a lot of people did wear these outdoors. Personally, for me, I probably wouldn't, just because this cushioning just doesn't have enough give. I'll just break everything in my body. Now, in terms of the support, a lightweight player like me, the Hyperfuse, usually does a decent job containing my feet, like in terms of side-to-side movement. I will say compared to some other shoes, you don't really get any like extra TPU or carbon fiber plates that extends up onto the sidewall. Even like the Luka 5s, that's just one that I reviewed recently. They had that TPU pattern come across the upper of the shoe that provides some extra support here. You don't get that. So it's not like the best. Again, a little outdated. Heel counter here, it is pretty solid. So even though I don't think there is a carbon fiber mid-foot shank or anything, when you try and bend and twist the shoe, it actually still feels pretty rigid. And you'll see also this shoe on the forefoot area, this outrigger is actually decently aggressive with a relatively kind of wide base that gives some stability too. So support-wise, I think it's good. Nothing super outstanding. When it comes to the insole, it is actually custom branded. You'll see on the bottom here, NOLA, Gumbo League, and the quality of these, about what you can expect. It's nothing like super unique or great. Now, in terms of sizing and fit, I am a wide and flat footer. For most Kevin Durant shoes, it doesn't fit my feet that great. There's always a little bit of heel slippage. His shoes are usually quite long in length, but I have wide feet. My true size might work well, like width-wise, but lengthwise, it leaves me with a bit of dead space. And I will say it is pretty tight in the forefoot area. He's always had quite slender shoes, and like Kobe Bryant, it's just not a perfect solution for us big, fat, ugly, wide footers. So again, the same with the shoe. If I go up half a size, just a little bit too much dead space in the toe. And I will also feel like there's a little bit of heel slippage. I felt that with the, I don't remember if I reviewed the 16s or the 17s, the 17s, I believe. That gave me some heel slippage here. Same thing with this. A lot of times, especially like more modern shoes, you will get this ankle area with a lot of that cupping mechanism trying to hold your heel in place. This has a little bit of that contour, but not too much. So the overall fit is just not the greatest for me. And in terms of overall just comfort, if you're wearing this shoe like casually, people used to do that with this shoe back in the day. I think it's decently comfortable. You get decent cushioning, even though it's a little firm, but if you're walking around, I don't think it'll hurt your feet or anything. So definitely could do that. In terms of court feel, it is pretty good too. So you're sitting pretty low, you can feel the court. Most basketball players do prefer that. Now, one big advantage and one strength of this shoe is how light it is, especially for back in 2014, under 12 ounces for this shoe. super light. That was obviously something they really prioritized. So yeah, if weight is an issue, you won't have an issue with the KD6.
Today's throwback of the day, it is the KD6 Black History Month, staying on the theme. And that dropped in 2016, comes with a majority purple upper with African inspired artwork all over. On the tongue, you will also see this BHM piece, just one of the best KD6 colorways ever, considering it's almost the end of February. No chance Nike brings us back anytime soon.
Now, usually for performance basketball sneakers, I don't give it a sole score. Metrics don't really make sense. Final verdict of the KD6 for 2026. I would not play ball in these. I think there's just so many better options nowadays with just slightly softer cushioning, better support, maybe not as good in terms of weight savings, but Sabrina's 1, 2, or 3 I would take over these. Anthony Edwards lines I would take over this as well. I just don't see many people, especially if you're over 30 years old, choosing this shoe. Nothing really stands out too much for me. Like there's no one great strength for this shoe that makes me go, this is the one. I'll sacrifice all the other weaknesses for this shoe, which is a shame because Kevin Durant himself said this was his favorite, the KD6. And I would have thought Nike would see that and go, let's pro-throw this thing and bring it back properly, but we are just asking for too much. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So inclined. Let me know what you think of the Nike KD6 Illusion. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.